Okay, welcome everybody to our webinar today on auto review, which is brought to you by Tanya's Bookkeepers Bootcamp. So that's myself, Tanya Hilts. I am a certified professional bookkeeper. I think most of you know me, but for those who don't, I'm the founder of Cloud Business Services and Tanya's Bookkeepers Bootcamp. A little bit about myself. I'm not going to go through all of this. You guys can certainly take your time and read this. And some of you, I know this is regurgitated because you're on a lot of the webinars, but most recently today, as a matter of fact, I found out that I actually made the Insightful Accountant top Canadian Pro Advisor of 2020. So not only am I one of the top 100, which Sherri-Lee Mathers on this call was top 100, and I want to say, Mr. Paul Burns, you were also top 100, were you not? No, you were not. Okay. Well, you will be next year. You will be next year. But anyway, so yes, and so I was top, found out this morning that I was top Canadian Pro Advisor. So that's awesome. So that was quite the surprise. I am also Director and Treasurer for CPB Canada and IPBC's or CPB Canada. I should update that 2019 Professional Leader of the Year. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff. You guys can read all of that. I'm not going to go through that. Essentially, I think it says I work hard. And maybe that means I have no personal life. So the reason why we're all here today, auto review. So we've got myself along with Sherri-Lee Mathers and Paul Burns. And we're going to tell you our favorite things about auto review. And yeah, so we've got Nick and Vish. So just before Nick takes over, it's interesting. Apparently they were, we had actually almost crossed paths at San Jose of 2018 when I was up for Firm of the Future, which is disappointing we didn't speak then. Would have saved me a whole bunch of time over the years with the product. But essentially what happened is they reached out to me on LinkedIn and I almost, they don't know this, I almost just hit decline because so many apps contact and I just, review. And anybody that knows me knows that reviews are really important. So I just said, let's go in and pop in. So I popped in, I booked a demo and I think within 5 minutes I had both, Vish and Nick, reaching out. One responded to the demo, one responded back to my response on LinkedIn. And I looked into it and I thought, you know what, this looks really, really good. I know there's several other products out there that do that, but I really liked what they had. And I thought, okay, I gave them some advice and some feedback. And then I happened to be speaking on a group chat with Paul and Sherri-Lee 2 weeks later, hadn't made it back in because I thought, you know what, that's a good app. I need to look at it. There's a 60-day trial. Yes, I said 60-day free trial. But I went in, I thought I've got plenty of time talking to them. By the time I got back home an hour later, Paul had already had his demo. I hopped on Sherri-Lee's demo. And these guys, these amazing guys had already made some of the changes that I had suggested to them 2 weeks ago. And I'll tell you that right there blew me away. And I don't think there's been not a day that's gone by that Sherri, Paul, and I haven't tried to break auto review. But I just really wanted to say that these guys are listening. We've given them a lot of advice, a lot of suggestions, and they have, just met everyone and been absolutely amazing to deal with. And we're going to tell you our favorite things about the product. But I just kind of wanted to give you that bit of a background as to how great it is and how we met up and dealing with them. So Nick, I'm going to pass it over to you at this stage. And I don't know if we just want to put our faces on here at this point or just have the auto review up while you do a little bit of talking.
Yeah, sure.
Screen share.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep, go ahead,
thank
Nick,
you,
sorry.
Tanya. First of all, happy to have you all. And I think, as Tanya already mentioned, how, just give the background of how we actually started this journey. But I'll give you a quick, background, actually how we came up about this whole idea. And I think the way we can go about this call is I'll quickly share a quick background and introduction about ourselves, and then we'll talk about some of the prevailing challenges that is being faced across the industry at the moment and around the review process. And then we'll also talk about, how auto review can help address these challenges. And then Tanya, Paul, and Sherri will walk us through the demo of our application. and then we'll quickly share what's coming up in the future. It's very exciting, the product roadmap, and we can then have a question and answer session. Yep. Okay, so let me first of all give you a brief background. Myself, I'm Nick. I'm founder of this company, and basically the whole idea of this application was born out from our own experience working with the accountants and also with the direct clients. I mean, during our tenure, our team has worked on more than 500 plus clients. And typically, what we realized, I mean, during our last 14 plus years experience there, there has been immense transformation happened in the accounting industry. If you look back last 5 years, right, there are so many tools, there are so many automations that have been introduced in the accounting industry, right, which actually makes certain functions quite efficient. But there was one area where we were constantly facing challenges was the review process, right? If you ideally look at the review process in itself, right, review process in itself is very, very tedious process. It requires very heavy human dependent process, right? And what happens, for example, let's just say if I am managing the bunch of clients, only I would be knowing that what are the certain checkpoints or review points I should be checking, right? So what we actually experience in our throughout our tenure there, the consistency of the information wasn't the same from month to month, right? On one month, we're finding the information was good. Again, the other, other month, even after the checking, information wasn't consistent. So that's where we thought that, why not build something in this area, right? So that's where we started brainstorming around this area. And we had a two goal, while we were building this application. Number one, how we can make the entire review process structured and streamlined, which means introducing some sort of platform where we can keep check of all the control points and review points over there. And second goal was how we can introduce some sort of automation and tech around this process, which means that system should be able to detect any errors, discrepancies, or abnormalities on its own without you going and checking the information. So that's where answer to all these questions is auto review. And what we claim is it's a smart, robust, and reliable app, especially designed for the accountants that actually simplifies, streamlines, and automate the financial review process, right? And ideally, if you look at so there are right from bookkeeping to reporting, right? There are three elements involved, right? One is, recording the information, and then you got the reporting, right? But between recording and reporting, right, there is a process of month end closing and reviewing the process, right? Now on the bookkeeping, there are so many tools out there which actually makes the entire bookkeeping function quite efficient. And also the accounting software itself has gone quite advanced with features like bank fields. For bill pay feature, you got the payroll software, which integrates well, and on the other side you got the reporting, right? So there are so many tools where you can actually handle reporting quite well. But there was one area where we felt that there is a greater need of having a central platform, right? And that's where auto review comes into the picture and ensures that you have 100%. I mean, we claim that 90% of your information will be detected by us now, so that now you don't need to go into system and check everything. And with this platform, you can actually centralize and standardize the review process. So because what happens that everybody has a different way of looking things, but with this you can also standardize the review process as well. And of course, one of the product benefit of using this platform, it will help you significantly save your time and help you scaling your practice. So that's where we claim that if you look at the conventional way of checking things, it's involved manual checks, it's heavily human dependent, it's unorganized, unstructured, there is no central system, and the current process, it's a error prone process, and it's a time consuming. With auto review, you automate the entire review process. We reduce the human dependency. with Autoreview, you can now streamline and organize the entire review process. And of course, it's a centralized system, and we detect all the errors automatically, right? And with that, I think our current users' experience is that they are able to save 70% of their review time. Yep. So I think that's you can say short, quick summary of who we are and what we do. I'm sure definitely we'll talk about future roadmap further in the discussion. Great, Tanya. I think over to you. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Nick. So I also just want to point out that you're an accountant too, which makes you very unique on this. And because I noticed you didn't mention that, and so
Yes.
what you're looking for, you know the pain points.
So, absolutely. In fact, you won't believe that first 6 months we did nothing. We just picked up all the use case scenarios. So we did spoke to so many bookkeepers, so many accountants, and we actually prepared a list of use case scenarios that what one individual will go and check the things, right? So that's where, and our own experience, also working with the different industries and also with the different accountants. That's where we prioritize a list that will ensure that checking all these points will ensure that your 90% of your information will be correct. You will have more confidence in your data, once all this information is there. And that actually makes the entire review process very optimized. And also now it is not dependent on any individual. It's our platform will handle all the rules and will detect all the errors on its own.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen now then. Just pop back to... Okay, so just bear with me while I move back to sharing my screen. Okay, so I've got auto review up here. Hopefully everybody can see it. So I'm just going to go through some of the things that I've used it for and found that it's extremely helpful and my favorites. Then we'll move to Sherry and then we'll move to Nick. So when we look at this, the first thing that I look at is you're probably looking, yes, some of this we can see in QBO or Xero or whichever it is that we use. Absolutely. And this is right now, it's only QBO that this is working with, but Nick will talk about that on the roadmap more. So if you're not QBO, don't hang up because there's still more information to come. So the transaction count, what I use this transaction count is I take a look and we can use this to help us price. So whether we're pricing individually, so whether you're doing a diagnostic and thinking, okay, do I want to take these books on? What do they look like? How much should I price? If you're asking a client, you're putting the number of transactions into it, you ask them, they always go under. So you can take a look here and you can see, based on on bills and expenses. So you can see everything, the full volume that's going on in over 6 months. So I love that. Now, when it also comes time to renew, if you want to look at your prices to renew them, you can say, look, a year ago when we talked, you were only putting through an average of, let's say they were, 150 expenses at that point. You can say, now the volume is definitely up there. So I really only look at, expense and bill, but some people might be looking at more. So I love the fact that you get a detailed breakdown of exactly how many transactions there are in all of these different categories. So that's great. If we jump into speed mode, which this is where it gives the categories, and there's a bunch of built-in reports here. What I'm using it for is, again, my monthly reviews, my year-end reviews, and diagnostics. So anybody who knows me knows that I have a fairly strict monthly review. Several years ago, we used to do the monthly reviews. A lot of stuff would get missed. And I would spend, 6 to 12 hours on a year end cleaning up things from all year long. Once we started really getting our stuff together several years ago, we built in a lot of custom reports into QuickBooks Online, which would enable us to still be better on it. It had our review time down, which could bring down our year-end time. Our reviews might have been, Once we got caught up on clients, they were about 15 minutes to 30 minutes. And then that brought my year end down to about an hour. I have gone over those files with auto review. I did last night 2 year ends. One was 30 minutes, one was 45 minutes. And those definitely without auto review, even with all of the detailed reports I had put into QuickBooks Online, would have still taken me a minimum of an hour. So the one, there wasn't many changes, and the other one was 45 minutes. And there was stuff that still got missed by our monthly reviews that this AI was able to catch. So it's great. There's one on my own file that I missed that I pushed through because I do the own bookkeeping on my firm. And yes, I missed it as well on my own file, and auto review caught it. So that's awesome. What else I love that you use this for is there's some customized searches that you can do here. So of course this comes out of the box with these reports that I know Sherri and Paul are going to go through a lot of these reports themselves. You can also, there's custom reports and it'll ask a couple of questions to come up with them. The capitalization check and the office expenses over 500. You can also go ahead and add a custom report. The ones that I like to add is I like to go in and add is attachment is not, or attachment is no. And then we can just save a search and then call that, items without attachments. Because we want an attachment. If we're audit proofing the books, I want an attachment, and I spelled it wrong, but I want an attachment for every single transaction if possible, because we're audit proofing the books. So I can take a quick glance. All of these don't have don't have attachments in them, which is great. I can also do when clients like to write off a bad debt. We do a lot of consulting where our clients will do, work on their own books, and we just do consulting and reviews. I can then put a report that will check the bad debt, or, check something specific that is not in any of these up here. And like I say, the bad debt, I can then go in and look and be, oh, no, this client moved it to bad debt. It shouldn't be bad debt. And then we can get that corrected. The final thing that I'm using this for is a deep dive diagnostic. So everybody again that knows me knows I kind of share everything. So I am charging $1,000 for a deep diagnostic. As long as my client is not watching this webinar, I'm okay. But it should take me, I'm expecting a full year. I've not looked at this. I'm just taking it over. We're doing a deep dive diagnostic. We're going to talk cleanup after that in a year end. 1 full year to look at. Not looked at the books before. There's been 5 bookkeepers in 3 years, and they've come to us for a reason. They've said there's quite a bit of mess in it. I'm expecting this is going to take me about an hour of the deep dive looking at things, and about an hour to actually write up and format a very nice report to be able to send off. That's going to be several pages that'll give them, I know what I want to do in my head, but that'll be able to show the value, because these clients will be the top, they'll be double the cost, double the monthly revenue of any of our other clients. So I really want to show the value. This type of diagnostic that I'm doing without auto review, I would expect probably about 6 hours. So it's saving me a huge amount of time. And I've already been working with it, trying to break it for the past couple of months. So I have the confidence that I know this stuff is going to get picked up. And I've also had a lot of accountants in the past too. It's a whole other revenue stream. There are some accountants that they know if you're good at diagnostic, they might actually contract you to do a diagnostic on the file before they decide to take over or not. So definitely could be another revenue stream depending on your contacts, but it'll definitely free up time for you so that you can either scale or you can just spend more time enjoying yourself. So I don't know, that was kind of it for me, because again, I don't want to go into anything that Sherri and Paul are. So I am going to, continue sharing and give Sherri mouse control, and then she can go through what she loves about it most. Okay, you should have mouse control.
Do I? Perfect. Okay. So I have been using this not as a monthly review process, but like Tanya, I'm doing it on some cleanup files, but I'm also using it weekly. So my niche is craft breweries. So like anybody who works with restaurants knows there is oodles and oodles and oodles of receipts. So I usually look at the first screen and I can see the number of receipts and transactions per month. And my files are showing like 1,500. So with 1,500 transactions a month, you can guess there's a lot of errors. So I come here, and one of the nice things when I'm doing a cleanup job, I can actually select, say, from January to October. Whoops, the whole little mousy thing. There we go. So I can select and I can do a range, or I can just do an individual month. So let's just say I'm gonna mess with you, Nick. I'm gonna do July to October because I know what your data is. So I would go through here and I work down, this quite a bit, but my favorites, because of the high volume of transactions, I will post a lot of information from the bank feed. So from the bank feed, if I don't have receipts, I post it as an expense to accounts payable. So my favorite here is looking at new vendor names. So the reason I'm looking at that one is from the receipt capture program. It's not necessarily giving me, telling me when there's new vendors. So using this one, new vendors, I can take a look and go, okay, these are maybe new people this month, but at the same time, I can also go down and I can look at duplicate names. So anybody here knows we have, it might get picked up Home Depot, Home Depot Canada, whatever. I can then see that I would have 3 that are similar. So here, you can see you've got Matthew, employee 1, 2. This is all the same entry. Same thing. These are pretty common. So you've got duplicate names. You can then look at them either by vendor or by employee or by customer. So there's a lot of ability here to look at and get that data really clean. So, and that for me, when I'm exporting and using that information in other programs is really important. So we've got that. We've also got the negative balances for vendors. So you can look at it, and the great thing about this is I can see my negative balances. So I would put stuff in here. So here's payments. We've got payments then without bills, or I'll go in and like I said, I'll put expenses. Don't have an example here. I'll put expenses to accounts payable, which will give it the negative as well. So then I can see these. I can in fact use this and I can export to, am I hitting that right there? There we go, export. Sorry, the mouse is not quite capturing me. Anyways, I can export this to Excel and it's a really beautiful report. If I click this, am I gonna hit anything? Yeah, anyways.
You're good.
It'll open up, it's a nice report. And I use that and I send it off to my clients.
You're good to open it if you want, Sherry.
I'm just worried that we might not get back to the screen.
Oh, that's okay.
But I did, I hit it, opening it.
It's opening on my other screen. That's okay. I'll move it. I'll grab it, move it over.
So there's that one. The other is, we can look at it. We can do the zero balances. Like I said, I can then see, oh, look, here's a zero balance. So here's my expense that then I would be applying to my bill. So I can go and do that in QuickBooks. Again, duplicate entries down here is another one. And I love this. So the feature I love about this one the most is the cleared. So what cleared means, that's whether it's matched a bank fee transaction. So here, if I have these with the same date and say we've got 3 of them all the same date, if one of these said no, then I know that that's a duplicate gone in on that day. So I already know which one I want to remove because I know which one matches the bank feed. So that keeps it nice and quick. Again, I've got the duplicate names, that kind of stuff. So these are when you're looking at your data being clean, this is the really nice thing I'm using it with my employee. So then as we go through here as well, we can check it off. So once she's looked at it, she can check off. I'll go back in and I'll see if she's left 4 or 5 or what she's left. But it works really well for teaching. So they can see where they're making the errors and where they're missing things. I think the only other thing I really want to pick up on is I love the GL misclassification here. So I can go in here and then we can look and see, hold on, I want to buy all. But for looking at consistent data and then by GL. So I can, this is one of the many ways that we can slice and dice and look at our information is I can look down here and really quickly see if, say, this provision shouldn't have been in here. Say that this is not a cost of goods sold. This was, I don't know, say rent or just supply purchases. So that's a really great way to find these. The other that I did miss was posting to the parent account. So when you have sub accounts, so this is where between those 2 reports, I'm able to capture this. So if something was put here, these are all being posted directly. So it's okay to post it in this case. But if I have sub accounts, I'll be able to see which ones it goes to. So those are sort of my favorites. I did put in a quick report here that Tanya did hers, but this is the one that I create that's my favorite. Is I will look at the month, the GL count as meals, anything less than $15, I can almost guarantee that's not a business expense. So I'll look at these and I'll go back through and put them to shareholders. So those are sort of my, favorites. There's lots more. I'm going to let Paul get into his now. But working down through here, I'm using it weekly and then also monthly because of the high volume, but I can also do a big range and do that on the cleanup. So we're working through the cleanup. I've done the vendor section so we know our payables are done. Then we'll go through and work in the customers. Your turn, Paul.
Okay. Let me just change mouse over. And while I'm just changing mouse over, I just want to bring up, because I don't think this is on Paul's list, the new GL entries. If you are working with anybody else, again, your clients alone, you can see if they've created a new GL entry. So you, again, can keep control on that. So as Sherry said, it's all about the clean data for sure. And control. Paul, you should have remote control now.
All righty. So, as Sherry mentioned, there's nothing better than being able to pick, a whole year or a quarter and get all of your data all at once. If we go, I'm going to just switch this over to just July for the moment.
Oh, it didn't change.
It's not changing.
Because it's got to hit the
You've got to hit the check mark.
Yes. Okay, so when you, there's nothing worse than having to go through and have to click a whole bunch of zeros. So if we had zeros going down here that it hadn't found anything, one of the things that you can do, and we don't actually have any zeros here, we need a better month, but there is an option on here to sign off on all zeros. So you just click on that and anything that's got a 0 down here would actually get ticked off for you. So that's one of the neat features that they brought out right away. We're going to scoot down here to the entries trend analysis. This is a fantastic way for looking at the numbers. And if you have a garbage company picking up your garbage, or a Shaw or phone bills, you know how those things are always creeping up on you. You start off signing a contract for 100 and after a year you're at 180 for some reason. So those things there will show up here. So you can scroll down through this and you can see, okay, so, Boston taxis, we've had, none, 1, 2, 2 over the month. So you basically get a quick overview of that. And that is looking at it by the payee. So you can look at it by the payee or the GL. You can look at it by count or by amount. So I really love by payee and by amount. Now, one of the things I have to say that you need to do with this program is you need to be a clicker. You have to be clicky. So I had said to these guys, I said, oh, we need to tighten this up. I don't want to, tighten it all, but it's right here. You just have to click on the collapse and you get a nice view, all collapse there. So I would say, don't be afraid to click. And then you can scroll down through here and you can say, okay, what's going on here with Shay Alice? We've got 13,000 in February and we're going across and we're going up. Like, we're going up to $19,000 in May. So you have a nice view here of that. So that's the whole entry trend. But then you get down into the review expenses, and Sherry started on some of this that is in here. So the review expenses has 3 areas here. So it's got the GL misclassifications, the amount inconsistencies, and the missing entries. So again, these 3 items down here on the left are the same as the ones on the top. So not to get confused. But we take a look at this and we can scroll down through here and we have, whoops, I went a little too far. We have this purple flag here, so I can look at that and I can say, well, what's that about? So here we have a telecom office account line, and it's saying that this entry should be between 642 and 656. And this is another great way of automating the review of watching your phone bills or your garbage bills, etc. So you can take a look at that. Now, you might then want to take a look at it and say, what's this about? So you can click into it and you can see what the actual entry was showing there. There's an eyeball here. And if we were connected to QuickBooks, then it would bring up the actual QuickBooks entry. We're not connected to QuickBooks Live here because this is just a demo. So we get under there. Now, let's say that you're saying, okay, well, that's great, but I don't want it to be between 642 and 656. Well, that's where you can go into here and you can set up what you want. You can say, okay, I expect there to be how many entries a month? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever the case is. So you set the rule and you can say, I expect it 8 by 8 to be charged to the telecom office, not to office supplies or anywhere else. And whatever those rules are, that's what's going to guide this instruction here. Now, a lot of this is brought up already through the analysis that Autoreview does, but this is where you can fine tune it if you want to. So we have the purple flag there showing us that. We have this orangey color flag, and this one here is saying it's a GL misclassification. So that's what we were just looking at in the rules. And if we were to go back into the rules, it would say, well, we expect everything for 8 by 8 to be under telecom, not to be charged to bonus. So immediately, what's charged to, bonus for 8 by 8? And you can go into that entry. And then finally, down here under the missing review or missing entries, these flags here, so the pink ones, click on that. So this is expected to be 1 entry per month, but there's actually 2. So it's another way of saying, what's going on? Why is there 2 entries this month? So it's so fast, it's so quick that you can get this picture and these details of finding these little errors and things that you wouldn't necessarily, go in looking for or be able to spot that quickly. And like I said, you just want to click into things to be able to find, that, you can go in here, you can set the rules, you can set the number of items, that you do have the 3 dots and all these different settings and filters. And that was the 3 areas there that I was looking at. So back to you, Tanya.
Perfect. Thanks, Paul. And a couple of things that kind of just jumped out. Uncategorized entries. Now, again, they come up with automatics. So if you were to go into uncategorized entries, this is some automatics. They ask my accountant, uncategorized, but let's say you also put an ask client, or, you want to go in and grab something else. There's 17 that it automatically thought that would be that. But if you go in and you look other, you know, oh, yep, everything with other is tacked off. But let's say you're like, yeah, I don't want this. You can untick this, or you can add, you can make sure that everything with miscellaneous is ticked off. And of course it is. So the other I added earlier, but you can go in and you can customize on each and every one of these what you want to included or excluded. If you don't have, or is it entries without location or entries without class, if you don't use those, you can actually just go in here and go under the settings and turn them off. So that way it'll just come up as zeros, which is great. We just go in here and say, yep, I don't use that. I want to exclude all those accounts, and hit save. And now that will show up as zero. So that's great. So there's a lot of customization. And then the only other thing I really noticed that wasn't brought up that was a big deal to me is, again, the attachments. If we click on any of these, and click into here, if there's an attachment, we will be able to actually open the attachment right from here as well too. So you don't have to go into QuickBooks QBO to open the attachment. You can look at everything here and then decide, do you want to actually go further into that transaction within QBO? Okay, and I think that was it. So I will stop sharing my screen now, Nick, and I will let you take over.
Yep, I think, Tanya, you can continue sharing your screen if you can just hand over the control to me.
Oh, absolutely. That sounds great. Okay. Let me go back to screen share and control to Nick. Okay, perfect. You should be controlling my screen now.
Yep. So I think one of the things Tanya has already covered on the save search. So we also have a feature of global search. So anytime during the application on any of the screen, you can quickly do the global search. So what you can quickly search is, let's just say if you have any customers, any vendor or any deal, you can quickly type the name over here and you can easily pull the transaction. So for example, let's just say if I put Domino's Pizza, right? And now if I click, I'll easily able to pull all the transactions for the previous month. And not only just the vendors, but you can also find any GL or any vendor as well. And one of the very unique thing we have came up with is you can also make this search quite customized. So for example, let's just say if I go into a particular the search, I can also build up this search as well. So for example, if I want to add the criteria of, for example, I would like to look at by bill transaction type, or I would like to see where the attachments are not there. So I can easily make those filters, and I can also save the search as well. So with this now, you don't have to create like search every month. This can easily be a part of your review checkpoints as well. That's on the global search. And one of the things, and I just want to quickly share that across the application, any of the transaction you are looking at, you can drill down on any transaction across the application. Currently, now we do not support the bill edit for the Canada, but that's something we are coming up in the end of November. But you can also view the transactions in the QuickBooks as well. So if you press on this eye icon, the same transactions will be open up in the QuickBooks as well. I mean, you can easily edit those transactions by opening up, in the QuickBooks from here. And in the future, you would be easily be able to drill down to the transaction level, and you can make the changes, and the changes will be immediately posted back to the QuickBooks as well. And with that, we also have profit and loss reporting section. So now over here, we have came up with a very unique feature of variance analysis, considering the actual the way we actually do the P&L reviews. We usually would like to do the variance analysis when do the P&L review. So what we have came up with is a very unique feature on mouse over. You would be able to see any variance analysis. So for example, let's just say if I want to compare this number with the previous month. I'll be able to get, variance analysis or with the previous month, with previous month, last year, same month. And then, it also provides with the last 6 months average and 3 months average as well. So currently on any of the number you hover on, you quickly get a variance analysis. In the future, currently this only supports the absolute variance. I mean, in the future, we are also coming up with the percentage uh, differences as well. Apart from that, we have all these accounts are also configurable. So for example, let's just say if I want to, so like vendor, like we do the configuration on a vendor, each of these accounts are also configurable. So for example, let's just say if I want to build configuration on this kitchen labor post, right? What you can do is you can build review checklist point for each of the accounts, and apart from that, you would be also be able to see certain configuration as well. So for example, let's just say there are certain checklists that are being predefined provided by the auto review, or else you can predefined build your own checklist as well. And when you click on any of the numbers, you would be easily able to get the snapshot of that GL as well. And for each GL configuration, there is a separate module of PNL configurations, wherein you can easily be able to configure any accounts from here. And some of the configurations we have provided is, just a moment, is you can set the expectations. So for example, let's just say you can also assign that what is the GL total you are expecting in that GL. What is the extract transaction? So for example, in office expense, you would like to see any transactions which is greater than probably $1,000. Then you can set those rules from here. For example, in payroll account, you are only expecting journal entries. Then you can assign, expected journal entry in that particular GL as well. And with same with that, we can also assign, expected class, especially, for PNL. There are certain transactions, if you're expecting that class has to be, you can also assign class, and you can also assign, expected page. So for example, if you have the subscription account and you are expecting certain vendors to come into the subscription account, you can assign all those pay from here. So it's quite, the entire PNL and balance sheet is configuration, can be configurable from here. And then you can easily be able, once this has been configured, if any breaches on this account, you would be easily be able to view on the PNL as well. Yeah. And apart from that, we also have the feature of adding the notes on each account level. Notes something is we are enhancing the entire notes module. So in the future, we are coming up with a separate section where entire notes can be handled. So we are also coming up with a feature where you would be able to draw up notes at every level, not only on just account, but also on the individual transaction level as well. For now, let's just say if you have any queries, you can drop note from here, right? And you can also build up the chat as well. And in the future, you would also be able to tag your internal staff as well, and you can assign the queries as well. Apart from that, we also have one of the unique features, reports, undeposited funds. Usually what we have found that, it's very difficult to find the exact breakdown of the undeposited funds for a particular period. Over here, you would be easily be able to find breakup of undeposited funds for, let's just say, if I want to get breakdown of, undeposited fund as of 29 February, I can easily get a breakdown of undeposited funds, where I would be able to see which are the invoices that are open. And also I would be able to see that, when was this invoice was cleared. So you also would be able to get the information on the deposits date as well. This is useful, and especially for the clients, using undeposited funds, for the e-commerce clients and various other industries, where their entire routing of sales receipt happens to the undeposited funds. So I think, yeah, that pretty much covers overall, that's what we have at this point in time. And definitely we have very promising, future product roadmap look like. So next 2 quarters, we are also coming up with, some of the very amazing features. Let me quickly share information about the future product roadmap as well. So this is something you can expect in next couple of quarters. We are currently working on practice dashboard. So wherein you would be able to see all your clients under one screen, and you will easily be able to get all your statistics under one information, right? Apart from that, we are also coming up with the year-end finalization, wherein currently you can just select the months, but in the future you would also be able to do the entire year-end review, with auto review. And we also have the notes. So we are coming up with a separate section with the notes where you can handle all the notes over there. And then we have the review checklist where you can build your own review checklist, you can build your own month-end closing list, and you can manage everything from this platform. And apart from that, email notification, which is every month you will get a list of certain discrepancies every week. Without going into the system, you would be able to get the query list, so that that what are the numbers of queries in each of the section. And apart from that, we also have the balance sheet review, where currently our focus is more on the P&L, but we are also coming up with a certain regular items like accruals, prepayments, and fixed assets. So there will be a separate section on the balance sheet review as well. So I think that's something you can expect in next couple of quarters. You can expect all these features to come. Great. So
can I just throw something in there, Nick? And that is that lots of times on lots of the different apps that we get, we see these roadmaps and these concepts that people have, and then it takes 3, 6, 2 years before we see anything. And my comment to everybody here is, I don't know how these guys do it so fast, but there are so many things, like they just keep coming out with stuff, again and again and again. Not to put any pressure on you, Nick, but there's just so much stuff, so many improvements. So all of these things that they talk about, sometimes we think they're just pie in the sky. I don't think they are here. In fact, I'm positive they're not, and that these guys will fulfill this in short order. And that's just from my experience over the last, whatever it's been, 3 to 6 months, with these guys. So
yeah,
absolutely.
And to add to that, again, thank you for listening, because I think I speak for a good majority of the industry, if not all of us, when we say that when we give feedback, we get very frustrated when nothing happens. And to see this, I'm blown away that like I say, just within that 2 weeks that I went from you and I, going through it the first time, Nick and Vish, and then, hopping onto Sherri's call in 2 weeks, some of the changes you put through, and since then every week. And if there's something we asked for and you don't understand, rather than just saying, yes, okay, we'll do it, and then leaving it, you actually ask us to explain why it's important to us, and then, agree and add it to the list. And you guys are absolutely amazing with that. So I absolutely love that. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Tanya. I think a lot of credit goes to Sherri and Paul. You guys have been immense contributor in making our product market fit, and I'm sure with your support, we definitely we'll make this lot of value additions in the coming months as well. So I think with that, I would like to thank everyone, and
I'm jumping in here saying something as well. The adding features and requesting things, from my perspective, and I'm sure Paul and Tanya, the fact that, Nick, you're an accountant, when we say there's a feature we'd like, you ask us what the use case is and you go, absolutely, oh, that makes sense because we're seeing it from here. My experience with a number of apps, and I'm sure others have been, we try to explain, and when you're speaking to non-accountants, when we're looking for something they don't understand. So that's, I think, made it even, you know, more where I'm, you know, waving the flag as well, saying it's great working with you because I'm not wasting a lot of effort explaining why I need something or want something.
Yep. And how you guys get this stuff through so quickly. I think Vish is does a little more of the programming from how I've kind of gathered on it, but I don't know. But whatever you guys do, again, like, yeah, you guys are amazing. So, and the industry needs to know that. So, thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Sherri-Lee and Paul. I think with that, I think I'll definitely would like to, you know, I mean, anyone who is interested in a one-to-one demo, you know, please, and either you can, you know, directly reach out to me over this email address, or you can, you know, set up a demo from our website as well.
Perfect. And then the pricing, I just wanted to ask about that. If you wanted to talk about the pricing, because I know that a few people said it's a little confusing on that.
Sure. So I think on the pricing side, you know, for now we have an introductory offer going on. So we have extended our offer until November 2020, wherein any clients you add until November 2020, you first of all, you get 60 days trial, and after 60 days trial, you know, any client you add until November, you will only be charged $5 per month, right, per client, and unlimited users. So ideally, for one client, for 1 year, you're just paying $60, right? So, and of course, that's a Canadian dollar. Good thing is, and also it's not the US dollar. So
it's $5 Canadian. Oh
yes,
my gosh, I didn't know
Canadian.
that. What is the price? Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to jump out. Keep going. Yeah, sorry, keep going. So what would happen after then?
Yeah.
The $5.
So after $5, I mean, you know, next year pricing is revised. I mean, from January onwards, it will be $9 per month. But you know, as part of our introductory offer, and also we are in the beta version. Now, currently we are offering $5 per month. I mean, so any clients you add by November, you will only be charged flat $5 for the next one. So you lock that pricing for the next 12 months, right? And then any clients you add after January, that will be, you know, revised as per the new pricing in the next year.
Okay. Oh, apparently my photo's been frozen for 10 minutes. So that's funny. Okay. So yeah, that's awesome. Now, another question that's come up that I don't think we've discussed, and I mean, to this, you're right, $60 a year. That's an hour worth of your time, you know, to some people, just not even an hour valued at what we actually really, our time is valued at, but so it's unlimited users. So that's great. You said that. Now, what about our own like our own account? Is there a free account on our firm, or is it just, it's $5 for all accounts?
No, so it's a like on per client, it's a $5. So any account, any clients you add on, you know, for each client it will be $5, and then you know you get unlimited users on each of the clients, and internally you can also assign it to the internal users, and you can also assign to the external users as well with that.
Great, thank you. Okay, so I know Vish has been answering questions in the Q&A and whatnot. So I don't know if Paul or Sherri, if you guys can think of any other questions. Well, we've got everybody live. Anything that...
I don't think I can think of any other questions. I mean, I just think that there's so much in there that you can speed through so fast with this app. you know, I am totally impressed with it, you know, with the speed, with the help, with the things it finds. And I mean, there are things that you know you should find, but you might not. You might skip past it, you know, like the zero balance, like, oh, my accounts payable is zero, whatever. I don't look at it. Meanwhile, you've got, you know, 2 offsetting entries that really should be tidied up. So it just makes you look professional, and just give you that, you know, that really good, you know, I know what I'm doing look. So.
Yeah. Well, and like I say, like we've been trying to break it. The three of us have been working like trying to break it. And so this is why I said when I went through those year ends last night, I have the confidence in this because we have been trying to break it. And it is, yeah, you just need to get in and grab your worst, ugliest file and get in. And when you see everything, how clear it is, it's just, it's amazing.
The one thing I'll add that I noticed today that I didn't think of a use case is looking at the profit and loss. So for those of us here in Canada that are doing our SUs and you're looking for those percentages, is we can see year over year what it was really quick rather than opening up a number of reports in QBO and what was it, March last year, March this year. But again, as Paul just said, there's so many things that you can do in there, and to customize it is really, like for me, working with the brewing industry, I can very quickly see where we have vendors going into wrong areas where, you know, they're going into a cost of goods when it should have been a supplies, or, you know, so it's just fast, and I can put notes so that when my employee's looking at it, she can see where she's made the error because it's flagging it. And then it's helping her when she's looking at Receipt Bank, knowing from Receipt Bank, that's where it should be. So I think it's worth every single penny and more. Every penny, every penny.
More.
Every Canadian penny. Well, and that's another good way that it will help too is that, again, the receipt capture apps, how many times do we have that odd one? Petro-Canada is one of them that has the month and the day inverted. So when that comes through, that auto review is going to catch those easier because it might flag it as, oh, might it be, you know, a potential duplicate or something. So there's a greater chance of it getting caught in here, or all of a sudden you've got, you know, an unreconciled transaction. I used to have 12 customized reports in QBO to give me half of the information this gives me. Big difference.
Yeah. And I think, you know, the way we have came up with this entire list is these are some of the areas where we have evidence that these are the most possible areas where you can actually get the errors. So what we have, you know, tried to narrow down that list, you know, and made those lists as a priority, that if you check on these points, you know, and let's just say if your data is clean on this all these areas, which that only means that more than your 90% of your information is correct. Now you just have to focus on the interpretation and analysis. So I think the way you can break down this current process of our application is, you know, if you look at the top list, which is the review points. So ideally, we would encourage your bookkeepers, you know, to take care of all the review points. And then you have someone from your, you know, review manager who actually does the interpretation and review of the PN and balance sheet. And believe me, over the period of time, once you start using this application actively, you will see all these numbers dropping down, because now your staff will know that these errors will be picked up easily. So now they will be proactive, and you will surely see all these errors going down in the coming months.
And the benefit of that is anybody who's got dashboards of other analytic programs, like for me, we're running it weekly on the files. And so I know that when they're looking at their dashboards of what's happening already this month, we've already got it clean. So, and you're right, the errors are going down.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess unless anybody had anything else to add, we're at time. thank you, Vish, for asking, answering all of those questions. Thank you very much, like you guys, for again having such like an amazing product. I think it was Sherry had said to me a couple of weeks ago that she actually, what was it? You haven't been as excited about a product since receipt capture.
Yeah.
Or there hasn't been anything that well. So it's, and
I
like I said, it's a must have.
Yeah.
It's a must have, and I do not have stock in the company. I don't think you guys are on the, so I'm getting nothing for saying that. None of us are.
Just makes us look better.
Exactly. So, I mean, if anybody wanted to reach out and ask anybody, like either one of us, about our experiences, I'm sure that, all of us would be happy, but we're not going to tell you any different than we told you. Yeah, reach out to Nick and Vish for, a demo and make yourselves look amazing to your clients. Okay. The recording. Yeah, the recording will go out, and I will make sure with the recording email also goes the link to book a demo as well too. So I know Vish has put it in the chat, but I'll make sure it goes out with the email as well too.
Awesome.
Okay.
Great. With that, I would like to appreciate everybody, for taking your time and joining us. Thank you so much. It was, nice having you all, and all I can tell you is, so many exciting things coming up in the future as well, and you will surely see, webinars like this in the coming months as well.
And I look forward to it. Oh, Kelly Parks. Yep, she's here as well. Some of you might have been on the demo. Kelly did a demo and got a bunch of people on the demo. And Kelly, she says, a must have, 3 exclamation marks, 1 after each word. So there you go. You've been told by 4 of us now. So all right. Again, thank you so much, everybody, for taking the time. Thank you very much, Nick and Vish, for an amazing product and for listening to us and, putting this out there. It's great. All right.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everybody. Thanks. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.